Welcome, Gordon Mann, sitting down with two of the York College Spartans who are undefeated after rudely greeting Christopher Newport to the Capital Athletic Conference this afternoon. I'm joined by Brittany Hicks, and to her left, Asia Wallpher. First, guys, talk to me about the game today. I don't know how much tape you had a chance to see on Christopher Newport coming in, but this is a program with some pedigree. They were in the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago, Final Four a few years before that. How did you get ready for your first game against them in quite a while?
We came in knowing that we were confident. We're 7-0 before we came in, and we didn't watch a ton of film on them, but when we did watch film, it was more so it reassured our confidence that we could do this. I know in the past we played them, and we came in a little shaky, but today I don't think there was any shakiness at all.
Asia, when they were at their best, they play like you do. They play a full court press. They try and stretch the court out. I think you were able to handle it. You had 12 assists today, so obviously you did pretty well. How do you handle kind of playing your mirror image in a game like that?
It was hard. They didn't press us too much in the first half, and that's why we only had 6 turnovers. And then once they started with the run and jump, it took us a few possessions to adjust. But in those few possessions that it took us to adjust, they started to make a run. But whereas in the past that would have rattled us, we would have lost our composure and we lose leads. We usually lost them for good in the past, but I think that's where we saw our seniority and the veterans. I think we just all kind of looked at each other like, this isn't happening again. And so, I mean, usually you don't tell your guards to dribble through a press. You usually tell them to pass through.
Right.
But our assistant coach pulled me to the side and just said, just break it yourself.
Right.
Once we started doing that with the balls in my hands, that's when I was able to get it inside the three-point line and dish it down and get some easy shots to gain our lead back.
You guys are up 14, and then they got it all the way back to the point where they had it tied. They never took the lead in the second half. What did you guys, or what did the coach say to you in the huddle when they made that run to make that close?
I think that's just where it comes down to leadership. That's when a good team can fall apart and let the other team take the lead, but a great team will pull ahead and persevere through whatever adversity that was thrown at us. And I think we handled their pressure and everything that they threw at us really well.
Asia, you guys hit 8 threes in the first half. That tied this season's record. And then you only took 3 in the second half. Was that intentional? Did the coach tell you guys to pull off the throttle a little bit?
Coach will never tell us to stop shooting. We had too many shooters from them there. Even if she did tell us to stop shooting, I don't think we would. But I think a lot came with how, their defense. And in one possession, they came out in like a 1-1-3. And they did that for one possession because Murphy hit a 3. So they pulled out of that quickly. But also out of the run and jump, which they did for a majority of the second half, we were getting a lot of layups or turnovers. That's all we got out of that, really.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of time to set up. But Coach did mention, she said that a lot of our points were coming from threes and that they were probably going to make it a point to shut that down, which they did. They started overplaying the wing, so we had to work it inside, and we did. And Kristen started finishing and getting more looks, and our drives were open. So that's the thing about this team. You can't just take away one aspect of our offensive game. We need people that can drive, set up our teammates, we can create our own shots. Shoot. I mean, there's nothing that this team can't do offensively.
So you guys are 8-0 now. Last year you started strong, and you're in a tough conference. You've got Marymount, you've got Mary Washington, and now you've got Christopher Newport as well. You're off to you started strong last year and then faded a little bit down the stretch. What's the difference between this year's team and last year's team?
I think the difference is we have depth on the team this year, so where we can get breaks and come back in a little bit stronger. Where last year, even if we're tired, we couldn't come out.
Right.
So we had to keep our composure in the game, but this year we can come out and then come back strong and finish. And I think knowing the disappointment of how we did fall apart last year, we could never really fully gain like the peak of our season. I think knowing that it's just a motivator this year.
Asia, the media notes say that you're a coach on the court. I can hear that just from the interview. I hear you using the terminology and talking about the zone press. So as a coach on the court, tell me what the defensive philosophy is, because what I'm used to seeing with York College basketball is teams not scoring over 50 against you. You have an exceptional defense. Actually, like some of the other teams in this conference do, Marymount and Mary Washington also traditionally have very good defenses. So what makes the Spartans' defense special?
I mean, it's like what she said. We have a lot of depth, and there's no letdown with our intensity. In the past, especially last season, we only had, like 9 girls at a time that were able to play. This year, we've been pressing a little bit more, throwing all kinds of different defenses, different zones, and I don't think we played man at all the second half, and we have very ball-hungry players. And Kaylee Knight came in. We need her to play good defense, get rebounds, and she comes in and does that. And she gives us some great quality minutes. And she does things that aren't always going to show up in the stats, but what she does for this team is, we wouldn't have won that game without her, especially at the end. She got tough rebounds, and we have Carly that gets after and is quick, and I just think that's the biggest difference this year. It's our defensive intensity. I think Christopher Newport averaged 85 points a game,
right.
So we kept them 22 points under their average, and we're also scoring too. That's always been strong. We're breaking 80 points and 70 points these past couple games, and that's been huge for us. But I love being able. I feel fresh, just getting these breaks that we weren't able to get last season, and we can give harder, shorter spurt, but it just. We can play a fuller game. Everyone can play a fuller game, so I think that helps a lot.
Talk to me about health for a second. Now, Asia, did you miss time? You missed time last year with an injury, or was it the year before that?
I didn't miss any time these past couple seasons.
Okay.
It was just this season.
Oh, this season. Right.
Yeah, this season I've been struggling with a few things. I've always had back problems. That's just never going to go away until I stop playing. I have structural damage to my pinky on my right hand. I've always played with that taped.
Is that your shooting hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this third practice of the season, I pulled and tore my quad, and so it's been, that's been a nagging injury. So I retore it in a game, a couple weeks back, and had to sit out for a full week, sit out for the Wesley game, which is only the second game in my college career that I've had to sit out. So it was hard, but I think it was, especially for me being a competitor, I don't like to sit out unless I absolutely have to, or I'm not given a choice.
Right.
So given a choice, I'll always play. But that's what all the parents are so worried and see me on the floor and stuff, but me and Brett are probably the most physical players. We're always on the floor, and you can't tell us to play any differently. You tell us, just go 70%. You can't tell us that. But these past 2 games, it's the best that I felt. I'm coming off with no ice on me, and I still feel like I could go maybe another 20 minutes.
Maybe in a couple of days. Well, Brittany, tell me about the shoulder. It's pretty obvious that you have some sort of issue there.
In the beginning of the season, I just had a minor injury. I strained a ligament in my shoulder, but I think right now it's just more of a preventative measure to wrap it. It feels fully healed to me, and hopefully by next week I'm going to start playing without the wrap.
Okay. Well, I want to close by talking about health in a different way. First, by talking about your major. You're a pre-med and a biology major. That's a lot of time in the classroom and in the lab. How do you balance it with your athletics?
Basically just time management. You have to know your limitations on what you can and cannot do, and when you can go out or when you need to stay home and just study. But if you put the time in now, it's going to be worth it for the future. So I'm looking more so for my future and continuing schooling, and that's my motivator for school.
And Asia, you were pre-med and you switched to math, so you didn't exactly make it easier on yourself. Tell me what it is that you like about math.
I've always thought in numbers. I've always done well in math. It's just, I don't know why. I'm one of those weird kids that likes math. No one else likes math. I love math. I came here, it was initially a pre-med biology major, and I didn't like the labs. Couldn't make myself go. I just didn't like it. So I still have, I've given myself the opportunity to kind of explore what other careers are out there, that have more of a focus in math. But with the minor in chem and my science background, I still am leaving it, a possibility to take the MCAT eventually. I'll be here a couple more years because I just switched my major. I still got a long way to go to fulfill these credits. So I'll be back next year on the bench helping Coach Whitman.
Okay. Well, I always like to end on a lighter note. So when folks came in today, you knew this was coming.
Yes.
They got this, and then they got to see Brittany. So Brittany, tell me, how many of these posters do you have?
A lot. My parents are my number one fans, and being an only child, this is all they've got. This is my senior year, so just try and give them the best that I can.
Asia, there's got to be an Asia Wallpher poster day somewhere along the lines here. Correct?
No, this one's going up in my room.
Oh, really?
Okay. All her posters that she ever up in my closet. The other athletes. Yeah, this is a nice space that she's making in this one.
Well, you can see